Hey, you look like you got an extra hour of sleep last night. I mean, you look fresh, you look ready. Who got that extra hour? Whoa, okay. A lot of you just were irresponsible. I got it. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, I was so thankful during the worship. I got to sit next to my smoking hot wife or stand next to my smoking hot wife. And if you like the person you're sitting next to, just turn to them and say, I prayed all week long that I get to sit next to you. Come on, tell them, put a smile on their face. Some of you, you're single, and the person you're sitting next to is single and looking kind of cute, and you're welcome. I helped break the ice for you. Hey, I am not the matchmaker here. If you're brand new, you're like, who is this guy trying to get the people to talk to each other? My name is Joel. I'm just one of the pastors on the team here, and I love that some of you are here for the very first time, so welcome to the basement, and afterwards I'll probably get a chance to say hi to you, hopefully out in the lobby. Stop by and say hi at least, and thank you so much for being here. And if you're not here, where are you? Online. You're online, and today I want to give a shout out to my friend Miss Casey LaRosa, and Miss Casey's been an amazing part of our church for forever, and right now kind of her back has been hurting her, and so she lives locally, but I don't know if you know this, but we have like 9,784 steps out there. And I've asked our property manager to put in an escalator, but apparently that's too expensive, and so Miss Casey has the opportunity to watch from home, and she lives nearby right off of Old Landing Road, which something else is going on Old Landing Road. What is that? New building, that's it. But Miss Casey, I dream of a day when you get to walk, your back's feeling better, you get to walk to that brand new building right down the road from you, and we're in there together. That's going to be awesome. But can you guys make some noise for Miss Casey and Jerry and everybody who's joining us online right now? Hey, today we got a generic picture up here because I can't tell you the name of my message yet. It's a surprise. Do you like surprises? Some are good. Some aren't good. I think this is good. Okay, but I do want to start out with this. Raise your hand if you've ever gotten a weird text message before. And if the person that texted you a weird text is in the room, you can point at them instead of raising your hand. Either way works. Come on, okay. A lot of weird texts, and I know a lot of you come as a family, but it was probably a weird family member who sent you that weird text. They're probably sitting next to you. Because every family has that weird person in it, doesn't it? Isn't that true? Some of you are like, I don't think our family has a weird person in it. Who is it? Who's the weird person? You're the one, all right, because everyone has one. But last weekend, my mom, who is not weird, sent me two very weird texts, okay? The first one is, she was like, Joel, I need your Christmas list. I'm like, Mom, I am 41 years old. But here's my Amazon list, Mom. And the Ravens and Eagles are playing each other on December 1st. Maybe some tickets to that, maybe a couple parking passes, And I ask for big things because I'm a man of faith, people. But I wasn't even thinking about Christmas. But then the other text my mom sent me that was also weird is she's like, honey, what are the Thanksgiving plans this year? I'm like, Thanksgiving? I'm pretty sure it's still summer, Mom. Come on, doesn't it still feel like summer? I mean, maybe not feel like it, but do you know Thanksgiving is in 25 days? Are you prepared for that? In 25 days, you need to make sure you have those elastic waistband pants at the ready. And let's just kind of get Thanksgiving-y for a second, all right? I mean, just imagine that warm turkey. Come on, Rob. Stuffing, just cranberry sauce. Just take the whole thing to your seat. You know what I mean? I'm feeling the spiritual moment right now. Are you feeling the Lord right now? And so 25 days, get your pants ready, the elastic waistband. I love Thanksgiving. It's one of my favorite holidays. I love being with my family on Thanksgiving. But I got to tell you, there's one thing I hate about Thanksgiving. And it is the parades on TV. Where are the parades on TV people? If you love the parades on TV, let me see. Oh, look at you, weirdos. No, listen, when I was growing up, the reason I hate parades on TV is because when I was growing up, my mom had a family tradition of Thanksgiving morning making us sit in front of our 19-inch RCA tube TV from Radio Shack, and we would watch parades in New York City for hours, okay? And me and my dad and my brother, it was 3 versus 1. Like, we hated the parades, okay? And just so you know, because a lot of you just were appalled that I don't like parades on TV. I love parades in person. Oh, man, like when the school marching band comes by and they're like percussion section. I love that. I love it when like grown men are throwing me candy. I'm like, I will receive that blessing, local small business owner. I even love standing there next to 900,000 complete strangers. Most of them are probably lunatics, but I still love it. Okay, I'm great with that. But watching like a 75-foot Garfield float go down New York Avenue on a 19-inch RCA tube TV, like I don't understand. But I do like parades in person. Okay, so last weekend, our crew, we went to the Bethany Beach Halloween parade, and it was great, except for one little thing. And this one little thing maybe has ruined parades in person for me too, okay? Because at the parade, the SPCA had a section where you could hold baby, sweet, cute puppies. And your children could hold them. And you could adopt them on the spot for the low, low price of $500. Listen, why you got to do that to me, SPCA? All right, I think we got a picture of my wife holding, this is Fancy the dog. Playing with my wife's emotions is what the SPCA is doing. And so my whole family, they're looking at me and they're like, Daddy, can we adopt Fancy the dog? I mean, she's soft. She smells like a Ravens fan, Dad. Like we need to take her home. And like, I felt like what my mom probably feels every Thanksgiving when it's 3 versus 1. So I am so sorry, Mom, for making you feel like I felt with Fancy the dog. And so now I guess we are a 3-dog household. I'm kidding, all right? Because listen, I told my family, I'm like, listen, we have 2 dogs already. Can't you smell them? And I love dogs, but my wife, we're so different. She would have adopted Fancy the dog on the spot. Yep. Like right there, the kid, they didn't have to think about it. We don't need to worry about the logistics. Let's just get the dog. Me, on the other hand, I'm like, I need time to process. And I tell you that because me and Stacy, we're so different. And in our church, we are so different. Let me show you. There's Wawa people and Royal Farm people in our church. If you're a Wawa person, just raise your hand. Let me see your hand. Wow. Okay. I don't know if Royal Farms doesn't get any love. Who loves that fried chicken from Royal Farms? Come on. That fried chicken. Listen, I don't love my cholesterol. I like that fried chicken. In our church, we have people who drive the speed limit. And then we have those of you who are helping fund our local police through your fines. And we would like to thank you for that. Well, if you're a drive the speed limit person, like you think the speed limit is a rule, not a suggestion, just give me the 10 and 2. Let me see. Get 10 and 2. There's 4 of us. Okay. If you drive it like you stole it, just give me a yer. I'm so scared for a parking lot. Listen, we have dogs and cat people. Where are the dog people at? The ones who would adopt Fancy the dog. Okay, thank you. Well done. That's the Lord's favorite animal. Where are the cat people at? Let me see the cat people. Oh, we have to lint roll our seats every week to get all the cat hair off our seats. One of the things I love about our church is we are so different. We have dog people here. We have cat people here. We have single people in our church, married people, single and looking to mingle people. Those are the people who are looking around the whole time during the service, like scanning the crowd. We have people who you've grown up going to church your whole life. You were like a church person. I tell everybody that I grew up with a drug problem because I was drugged to church 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. But then some of you, this is your first church you've ever been in. You're like, this is like a normal church. This is how they all are, right? No, kind of not. We have people in our church who drive from not very long distances. We have Rehoboth people, Long Neck people, Lewis people. Then in the last service, we have people who drive from Pennsylvania. Oh, the Yanchucks, Pennsylvania. That's right. Love that. And so I'm going to not make any more Pennsylvania jokes, okay? I'm not going to do it today. We have people in our church who have money. And we have people in our church who would like to got your money. We have young people in our church. And we have experienced people in our church. And so, can't we agree that we are all so different? Can't we agree? Now, maybe you're like, okay, this is great, but is this secret message about adopting Fancy the dog? And I heard a rumor that the SPCA is upstairs and Fancy's up there and I can adopt Fancy. Okay, no, I needed to ease you into today because today I want to talk about how different we all are. You ready? Politically. Some of you are like, no. Let's go back to the puppies and the parades. Can we move on to something else? I will pay for the new building if you just choose different topics today. Look, who all of a sudden you feel a little bit uncomfortable? You got a little tight? Can you imagine how I feel? Listen, right now I'm breaking a 4-year streak of not talking about politics from this stage, but all good streaks got to come to an end. Just like the Ravens winning streak last weekend against the Browns, man. I am not ready to talk about it. No, but let me tell you 2 things that are maybe going to make you feel a little bit better. Number one, at no point during my talk today am I going to try to convince you who to vote for. That's not going to happen. Now, at the end of this, you probably still won't know who I'm going to vote for. But some of you think you got me pegged. You're like, well, he drives a hybrid RAV4, which is probably good for the environment. Democrat. Yeah, but he eats scrapple, so... Republican, maybe? Yeah, but he's like a millennial, even though he's wearing skinny jeans and they're not in style anymore. So I guess Democrat. But he's not that young. I mean, he's bald. So, sorry, bald people. We're going to go Republican on that one, I guess. I don't know. Somebody but he's wearing a blue shirt, which is Democrat. But look, you see that red stripe? So, listen, by the end of this, you probably won't know who I am voting for. So, no point I'm going to tell you, or try to influence you one way or another to vote. Or who to vote for. Everybody go, just breathe. And the second thing is that no matter what I say today, from this point forward, some of you are going to be mad at me. And that's, that's just how it is. Some of you are going to be mad at me. And some of you are going to be mad at me for what I say. Most likely you're going to be mad at me for what I don't say. I totally understand that, because when we come to this church, people always want me to promote your political viewpoint, but at this church we don't promote a political candidate, we promote Jesus. Okay, and how we represent the Jesus party more than our political party is what today is all about. But if I do make you mad, you can always email me, and we'll put my email up at adopt Fancy the dog at spca.com. Fancy needs your help. But just a heads up, I preached this exact same message 4 years ago to the T. And I'll probably be speaking this exact same message 4 years from now, because some things never change, right? And so now that the secret's out, my message title for today, and we'll put this on the screen, is The Elephant and Donkey in the Room. Now, some of you are like, well, why's the elephant got to be first? So I have 2 titles for you today. The second title is The Donkey and Elephant in the Room. I'm an equal opportunity offender, people. But I got to talk about politics, because we are so different at our church when it comes to that. I've seen in our church parking lot, I've seen 2 of your all's vehicles parked side by side with the opposite political candidate on your bumper stickers. And I'm like, oh no. Oh no. Help thy brethren not see each other in church and take each other out in church. But we are all so different politically at our church. And I love that. I love that this isn't a Democrat church. And this isn't a Republican church. And this isn't a Libertarian church. And this isn't a vegetarian church. Because listen, some of you are eating the scrapple. I know it. I can see. But listen, this is Jesus' church. And so if you're looking for a church where everybody votes the same, we're the wrong place. And so the good news is we're all so different. The bad news is we are all so different. And the reason that's bad news, and we'll put this on the screen, is because nothing divides like politics. Hello. I learned this in 9th grade. And in 9th grade, I had a friend in 10th grade named Jesse. And in 9th grade, I didn't know anything about politics. But I did know that my friend Jesse told me if I would go make yard signs for this political candidate, then I would get a free bright orange t-shirt. And I thought, this sounds like a good guy to run for president. Giving out free t-shirts. This is a presidential candidate right there. Come on, how many of you have ever done something for free? You've done something to get something for free? Yeah, you have. And so in ninth grade, all of a sudden, I made yard signs, I got the t-shirt, all of a sudden, I got an opinion on like all these political issues. I got an opinion on taxes, on the environment, on Social Security. Guys, I was in ninth grade. My job was neighborhood grass cutter. But I had an opinion on taxes because I got a free t-shirt. And so I remember another friend that was in school, at our school, named Ben. I loved Ben. Ben and I were friends. But then one day in the lunchroom, I saw that Ben was wearing a different shirt. And his shirt was not orange like my shirt. Had a different guy's name on his shirt. And I thought, I think Ben's got a screw loose. I think Ben, there's something wrong with Ben. Okay, does Ben not understand taxes and foreign policy like I do? And I found out how I view politics changed how I viewed a person. Why? Because nothing divides like politics. And even though, listen, even if we can't agree politically, can't we agree that when we look around, people are pretty divided? Would you agree with that? I'm not on Facebook anymore, but I remember back in the day when I was like on Facebook, I used to love following some of my friends, like their grannies. Okay, it's like some older, late, no offense if you're a granny. I think the grannies on Facebook back in the day, they used to put in my feed, it would pop up, they would put like, share chocolate chip cookie recipes. I'm like, this is what Facebook needs. They would share like really low resolution graphics of like Bible verses or weird angels or something. And I'm like, this is so sweet. Until it was political season and those grannies would turn into Terminator. And it was like, I will cut you. Why? Because nothing divides like politics. But here's my dream for me and for you all and for our church. And we'll put this on the screen. I dream of a church where we can disagree politically, but still love unconditionally. This is my dream for our church. I dream for this to be a place where we can disagree politically and still love unconditionally. Wouldn't this be the dream? Now, maybe you're like, okay, well, since you put it like that, I guess I will tolerate them. But secretly hope they run into that sweet little granny in a back alley one day, you know. Listen, I'm not talking about tolerating. I'm talking about seeing people before we see their politics. And the reason that is my dream for our church is because I 1,000% believe that was Jesus' dream. And the reason I know that is because we know a prayer that Jesus prayed one time. And the reason we know it is because a guy named John wrote it down in the Gospel of John, okay? And this prayer is John chapter 17. It's called the High Priestly Prayer. And just kind of so you know the setting, Jesus had just had the Last Supper with his 12 closest friends. You know, their bellies are full on hummus and Royal Farms fried chicken. Come on, somebody. And before Jesus is arrested and crucified, Jesus makes his prayer request. Now, have you ever heard a weird prayer request before? You ever heard a weird prayer request? Have you ever been in a small group at church? You've heard a weird prayer request before. You know, someone's like, could you guys pray for my Aunt Kathleen? Oh, yeah, Aunt Kathleen. No, I'm not done yet. Aunt Kathleen has an uncle who has a second cousin, who has a coworker who also has a second cousin. And that second cousin has a neighbor down the road, and their cat, diabetes. We got to pray for the cat. You're like, I need Ancestry.com just to map out where we just went. So there are weird prayer requests out there. But Jesus' prayer request is not weird at all. And so check this out. Jesus says in his prayer, he says, now I am departing from the world. They, talking about the disciples, they are staying in this world, but I am coming to you. Holy Father, you have given me your name. Now protect them by the power of your name, so that, okay, this is why Jesus has this dream. So that they will be what? Divided. I can't hear very good. Is it divided? In the United States of America. Okay, all right, okay. That they will be united just as we are. Everybody say united. Now, do you know why Jesus prayed this? Because he knew how different we'd all be. And he knew that people wouldn't want to follow him if we all were like making moves at each other on Facebook, like, I'm going to get you. And so maybe though you're like me and you're like, you know, you're a loophole person. Any loophole people in the room, you look for a way out. Okay, here, loophole. This is for, he says they. Who are they? It's the 12 disciples. And so maybe our loophole is right there in that word they. Maybe this isn't for us, so let's keep reading this prayer and see if we can kind of loophole ourselves out of this whole united craziness. Jesus goes on in verse 20 and says, I am praying not only for these disciples, but also for all who will ever believe in me through their message. Turn to the person next to you and say, daggone it. We got you in this. For all who ever believe in me, I pray that they will all be what? One. Jesus prayed for us to be united and to be one 2 times. And it's not like an add-on prayer. You know what an add-on prayer is? You know, if you're like a single guy, maybe your main prayer is like, Lord, would you just send me a hot girlfriend? Oh, would you help her to just randomly sit next to me in church and think I am good looking and just realize that I will take care of you? And she asks me out. Also, on the side note, I'm supposed to pray for this cat, down the road, but let's get back to the main point, Lord. Look, that's an add-on prayer. It kind of reminds me of when Stacy and I go out to dinner. Stacy and I could not be any more different when it comes to ordering in a restaurant. Like when I'm at a restaurant, it takes me 2 seconds, okay? I know what I want. I don't need to know what the specials are for the day. I don't need to know what the server feels like I would like. I just need like 5 things. And so if it's one of those 5 things, like I'm happy, I'm good. My wife, on the other hand, listen, the server have never experienced what they're about to experience. Because she wants them to give the pros and cons to every entree item on the list. She wants to know what they feel like she would like to eat, which I've never understood. She wants to know who did their nails. She wants to know if they have a dog and what the dog's name is and how they feel about Fancy the SPCA dog. And after 23 minutes, finally she will, like, all this effort, she'll finally, like, pick something. And then the server will say, okay, I need your 2 sides. And she's like, well, let's go through this all again. What are your pros? And I'm like, anybody, you know anybody like this who orders like this at a restaurant? Yeah, you're married to them. I know. I remember before Stacey and I had kids, we call that BK, the BK era in our family. We were leaving the beach and we went to BK, Burger King. So we're before kids, we go to Burger King, and Stacey got upsold the most expensive Whopper in the history of Burger King. Okay, so she goes in there and she's like, I'll just take, plain Whopper Junior. And the cashier was a pro. He was like, would you like to make it an even bigger, better, juicier Whopper? And Stacey's like, I think I would. And he's like, would you like to add jalapenos on that? And she's like, I didn't know you had jalapenos. Yeah, put some jalapenos on there. And he's like, would you like to add some onion rings on that? And she's like, onion rings? This place is, I didn't know. Yes, put some onion rings on that. Would you like to put some bacon on top of the onion rings and the jalapenos? And what did Stacey say? Absolutely. And she's thinking it's the greatest thing in the world. And I'm behind her with my Dave Ramsey Spidey sense. And I'm like, cha-ching, 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 cha-ching. And then they're like, that'll be $14, ma'am. And she looks at me like, $14 for a Whopper Junior? I'm like, there is nothing junior about what you just ordered. That's the most expensive Whopper in the history of the world. I don't even think they'll get it in the bag. And I don't even know why I told you that story. Yeah, add-ons. I hate add-ons. And Jesus' prayer is not an add-on for unity. He's not like, oh, here's the big stuff. Well, I guess, let's throw a side of togetherness in there and let's get back to it. No. Unity is the main thing. It's the main point. It's the burger on the Whopper. And this is so much the main point. He prays it twice. Why? Because he knew his church would be diverse. And he wasn't looking for a church where everybody acted the same, looked the same, voted the same. Like, he wanted a united church. So much so that he didn't just say it twice. We got a third time. And so, let's look at this. Verse 21. He says, I pray that they will all be what? One. That is 3 times. Just as you and I are one. As you are in me, Father, and I am in you. And may they be in us. So, may they be one so that the world will believe you sent me. Guys, Jesus wanted us to be united so that more people would join the Jesus party. So that people would look at Jesus followers in the church and be like, man, they don't act the same. They don't look the same. They don't vote the same. They definitely don't root for the same football teams. But man, they really are united. Like, they really love each other. And so, like, man, they love each other so much. I'd go to a church with that person. I mean, I'd sit next to, Stacy and Will on the front row at a church like that. And it came, that comes with unity. And wouldn't it be worth setting aside our political parties so that more people could experience the Jesus party. Wouldn't it be worth it? Some of you are like, But I think it will be worth it. And so before you're a Democrat or a Republican or a vegetarian or not vegetarian, we're supposed to be one. We're supposed to be united. And listen, we are in the United States of America, you know? And so that's Jesus' dream for me and for you and for all of us. Now, real quick so we're not confused. Being united is not the same as being uniform. Okay, you can be united and not be uniform. Let me show you. If you're a married person in the room, just raise your hand. If you're a married person in the room, okay, all right, keep your hands up. And by the way, if you're single, you should be looking around right now. See who doesn't have, I'm going to get you a date before you get out of here. All right, married people, keep your hands up. All right, keep your hands up if you agree with your spouse on everything. There's one smart man in this room. And then one delayed smart man over here. He's like, yeah, that's what he said, yes. No, you don't agree with them on everything. Listen, me and my wife, we are so different. The last Friday night, Stacey's like, honey, it's Halloween weekend. Let's watch a scary movie. I'm like, I am a pastor, babe. And so do you think we watch a scary movie? Yes. No, we watch 2 scary movies. And Stacey and I, we are not uniform. But let me just tell you, we are united. All right, we have a weird couple nickname. We call ourselves Team T for Team Tice. We're like that couple that you think about and you're like, bleh, bleh. We named our Wi-Fi Team T. Like, we are not uniform, but we 100% are united. And Jesus did not pray for uniformity. He prayed for unity. And that was Jesus' dream for the original disciples. And let me just tell you, it worked. Because the Jesus movement blew up after Jesus' prayer. The church movement blew up after Jesus' prayer, and it changed the world. Do you know that the church started the first hospital in 369 AD to help people who could not help themselves? The church did that. To this day, the church is the number 1 provider of health care in the world. The church started the first orphanages. Out of the first 110 universities started in the United States, 100 of those were founded as Christian institutions. Dartmouth, Harvard, Yale, all started as Christian universities. Now, things have changed a little bit. Christianity has shaped art. Christianity has shaped music. Today, there are over 2 billion Christians in the world. There are over 5 million churches in the world. Like, it worked. It worked. And it worked because 12 probably teenage boys were one. Were united. Now, you might be like, well, those were the disciples. Of course they were united. They were definitely like, they're the disciples, okay? They're all like the same person, right? Wrong. Because they come with nicknames. I don't know if you noticed this, but like Matthew the tax collector. You ever heard of Matthew the tax collector? Okay, Matthew the tax collector was a Jew who worked for the Roman Empire to tax Jews exorbitant rates and pocket the money from his own people. Matthew was a traitor. And then you got a guy named Simon the Zealot. We know he's the Zealot. That's like tacked on his name. You ever wonder what a zealot is? No? Okay, I'll tell you. He was a part of this radical political group that hated Rome so much so that they would carry around shivs. They would carry around knives so that they could take out Roman soldiers. And the people that the Zealots hated the most, guess who they were? The traitors who worked as Jews for the Roman Empire. And so I'm pretty sure throughout the Gospels, Matthew's got eyes in the back of his head, like, where's Simon? I don't want him to shiv me right now. Where are you, Simon? Where? These guys were not uniform, but they were united. And people couldn't get enough of Jesus, and it exploded. And it started with this prayer where Jesus said, Heavenly Father, help them to be united. Not around, a particular party, not around, issues on taxes or whatever. Help them be united in their love for each other like I am going to love them. And that changed the world. And so the reason I would risk my reputation by talking about this today, because I'll be honest, I could have just done Joy Series Part 5 today. Would have been way easier for me. But the reason I wanted to talk about this today, and this is, we'll put this on the screen. Your candidate will win or lose based on how people vote on Tuesday. But the church will win or lose based on how united we are every day. Your candidate will win or lose based on how people vote on Tuesday. But our church, the church, will win or lose based on how united we are every single day. And we can't let anyone or anything divide us. Even if we don't like their political person, or even if it's like your actual neighbor and like you're trying to take your trash out, but they got so many political signs like down your driveway, you're like doing hurdles, going. Maybe the person who is in front of you leaving church today has so many political bumper stickers on the back of their window of the other person. You're like, you definitely can't see out the back of that minivan window. We can't let that divide us. We cannot let that divide us. Now, I know what some of you all think when you think about politics. You're like, well, Joel, but I'm scared. I'm scared if my person doesn't win, then I'm scared of what's going to happen. I'm scared of what's going to happen with my taxes. I'm scared of what's going to happen with Social Security. I'm scared of what's going to happen with, the Space Force. I just do that in for fun. And I still can't figure out if I think it's the greatest thing or funniest thing ever that we have a Space Force. But I remember talking to somebody a while back who I love this person to death, and they love Jesus to death. But they were like, Joel, I am just so scared if my person doesn't win. And so it makes me think about the most repeated phrase in the entire Bible. Do you know what the most repeated phrase in the entire Bible is? Fear not, or do not be afraid. Some version of that. Some people say it's in there 365 times. That's a little bit debatable. But it's not debatable. That's the most repeated phrase in the entire Bible. Do not be afraid. Jesus himself said some version of that 17 times. Don't be afraid. And none of them have an asterisk by it. Like, don't be afraid. Except for, asterisk footnote, except for the 2024 election. No, it's not in there. Jesus is like, don't be afraid. What about this issue? No, don't be afraid. Yeah, but I feel like the country's going to hell in a handbasket. Well, yeah, maybe, but that started way before 2024, so don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It makes me think of a few years ago, my boy Nixon wanted me to take his training wheels off his Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle bike. And I didn't want to take his training wheels off because I had seen how he drove and rode his bike with the training wheels on. Because Nixon's our wild child, and he still does this to this day when he rides a bike. He looks everywhere but forward. So he's like pedaling, and he goes 100, like he goes full speed because the apple doesn't fall far from the mama tree over here. And so I was too afraid to take off his training wheels, but Nixon put Stacy in this like Burger King trance. And he was like, would you, mommy, help me with my bike without training wheels? And so Stacy decided to teach him how to ride a bike without training wheels on his sister's bike. And listen, I already told you, Stacy and I, we're united. We are one. But the thought of my wife teaching him how to ride the bike, listen, you guys got to see how she drives. We're talking like neck braces and speeds that only are seen on the salt flats of Utah. I mean, it is unbelievable. But Stacy was like, I will help you. And so we have a video. I videoed this a few years ago. This is Nixon on his sister's bike.
Nixon learned how to ride his bike for the first time. Riding Nora's pink bike, getting it.
Oh,
going ditch.
Oh, get her.
Nora, is Nixon doing good?
Yeah.
He's doing really good, isn't he?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a bike there.
Good job, Nix. Just don't worry about that. You got it, bud.
I love that. So Nixon conquered the bike with my wife's help. Come on, give it up for my wife right here. That's amazing. Now, if I were a good dad, I would have put the phone down and moved all the obstacles that I had laid out in the driveway for Nixon to navigate around. But I was afraid of what was going to happen. But Stacy, she was running with him the whole time. Do you see that? She was right there next to him. And some of you were so afraid of what's going to happen on Tuesday. What about your political candidate and all this stuff? And I just want to remind you the most famous verse and the most repeated phrase in the entire Bible. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. Do not be afraid. And it's like, I want you to just picture Jesus running alongside us. Saying, I'm going to protect you. It's going to be okay. I got you. Just trust me. I am running along with you. And so even if your person doesn't get in the White House, let me just tell you, God is always going to be in this church house. God can always be in your house. God can always be united with you. And let me just tell you, God is always going to be the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, no matter who the commander-in-chief of the United States of America is. Aren't you thankful for that? So Jesus is united with us, and he wants us to be united together. He does not want us to hate our neighbor because they have a different political candidate's name in their yard. And here's how I know that. Because your neighbor, my neighbor, all of our neighbors were made in whose image? God's image. God's image. And so this week, would you just try to be, really crazy week this week, but would you try to be more united than ever this week? Would you try that with me? Okay. And let me just tell you, 2,000 years ago, that was Jesus' prayer. And these disciples held on to that, and it changed the world. And I believe it can still change the world. So I'm going to give you some homework. Some of you are like, you're talking about politics and giving us homework. You have pushed it over the edge. But number one, I do think you should vote. I think it's important to vote, and I think you should not separate your faith from your politics. Lay the Bible over and just vote. But that's not my homework for you. Number one is this. We'll put it on the screen. Pray for unity. Pray for unity this week. And number two, look for an opportunity to love someone unconditionally that you disagree with politically. Now, you might be like, well, I don't know anybody I disagree with politically. Well, maybe you should meet somebody who you disagree with politically. And so, pray for unity and look for an opportunity to love someone unconditionally that you disagree with politically. Now, I'm ending here. Okay, you know when Davion comes up here, I'm closing things up. Some of you sat through this and you've been like, I think the pastor had one too many Mountain Dews this morning. Definitely hallucinating on caffeine or something up there, Pastor. Because you think you're naive if you think this is going to make any difference. And let me just tell you what naive is. Naive is believing that a son of a no-name carpenter, born in a no-name town named Bethlehem that hardly anybody had ever heard of, could grow up and declare, hey, I am God's son, and would recruit 12 teenage boys who were probably rabbi school dropouts and say to them, listen, guys, on your unity and you all, I'm going to build a church that even the gates of hell can't stop. And you got these 12 teenage boys, and Peter's like, you're going to do that? Well, first, I got these worm dry guts on my hand. Would you help me with that? And you got Simon the Zealot or Matthew the tax collector who's like, well, do we get a free t-shirt with like Jesus Christ 00 AD on it if we like sign up for this? Believing that would make any difference and those boys could change the world, that is naive. But do you know why you're sitting in church today? Because it worked. Because unity is always more powerful than division. And so, the Bible doesn't ask us all to agree politically. But the Bible asks us to be unified. And so this week, would you pray for unity? And would you look for an opportunity to love someone unconditionally that you disagree with politically? Can you do it? We can do it. And here's why we can do it. Because this is so important. Your candidate will win or lose based on how people vote on Tuesday. But the church, our church, the church wins or loses based on how unified we are every single day. Now I'm done. Aren't you thankful? I do have one add-on though. We never let someone leave Bay Shore without having the opportunity to meet the one who prayed this prayer. The one who went up on that cross after this prayer and said, I'm going to give my life so that you can be united with me one day in heaven. And so that your sins can be forgiven and you can run to me and I will accept you. So we get to vote today if we accept Jesus. And so every Sunday at Bay Shore, we give you an opportunity to say yes to Jesus. And so if you guys would bow your heads, if you never crossed that line of faith and today you want to say, hey, I want to be a Jesus follower. I want to be united with that one, with the one who changed it all. Would you just raise your hand? I see that hand. I see those hands. I see that hand. Let's pray this out loud together. If you just raise your hand, or if you already are a Jesus follower, let's say this out loud together. Dear Jesus, I'm so thankful that I can run to you. Today I'm making you my Savior because I believe you're the Son of God. And I believe I'm a sinner. But you died on a cross and you walked out of a grave alive for my forgiveness. I receive that today. Jesus, walk with me from this point forward. In Jesus' name, everybody said amen, amen. And can we just thank the Lord for the 3 people who gave up their life to Jesus, who crossed that line of faith? It's amazing.